Hello, welcome to Old Nerd's birthday, Pulpfest Hall. Today's my birthday. Happy birthday to me. I'm 52 years old today. Uh, don't send cards, just send money. Uh, so we just got back last night from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Drove down there and stayed a couple of nights and went to what is called Pulp Fest. And what that does is that celebrates the old pulp fiction of the 1920s, 1930s, 40s, 50s, all the way up. Um, and it's mostly books, old magazines like Argosy, Amazing Stories, pulp adventure stuff. Lots of old paperbacks, lots of new pulp authors that are putting out new stories, new books in that genre. Is it's not something that you see much of anymore from the mainstream publishers. So a lot of these people are still trying to get their books written, and they pretty much have to publish them themselves. I got a stack of them. I went around to several different authors that had tables set up and were selling their books. Um, so I got a little bit of everything. Um, let's see. I didn't spend a whole lot of money. I did and I didn't. Like a lot of times when I go to some place like that, it's kind of like my eyes are bigger than my stomach. Like I just start grabbing stuff and buying everything in sight. This time I was very reserved, I felt, and just basically tried to pick up stuff that would seal up some holes in the collection that I already have. So I took it kind of easy this time. But anyway, so a couple days ago, me and the family, my wife and daughter and I, we packed up my Volkswagen Tiguan and made the 4-hour drive down out of the mountains of Potter County, Pennsylvania, down into all the way down to just outside of Pittsburgh, a place called Cranberry and Mars, Mars, Pennsylvania, Cranberry Township. It's right a little north of Pittsburgh, I think. And a hotel down there is where the convention was. It started Thursday, and it lasted all the way till today, Sunday. I was only there on Friday. I managed to pretty much hit all the tables. I didn't go to any of the little talks or presentations that were put on. There were some authors and some experts talking about pulp and the history of it. And I think this year the old writer Philip Jose Farmer was one of the focal points. There was a lot of people speaking on him, a lot of people selling his books. That guy's written a lot of stuff. It seems like I was just talking to my buddy. Oh, that was another thing. An old friend of mine who lives down in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He drove out, so he came to Pulp Fest and spent the night down there with us. So it was a really good time. But he was mentioning, like, who is this Philip Jose Farmer guy? He'd never really heard of him, or he'd heard of him, didn't know much about him. And I said, well, I don't know a whole lot about Philip Jose Farmer. He's considered one of the greats. I know his River World series of books is probably one of his most popular works, and I mentioned that to him, and maybe he'll try that out. I'm not sure, but yeah, Philip Jose Farmer was one of the featured writers. And I want to say that the featured character this year was Doc Savage, maybe, which is funny because the last video I uploaded was a video on Doc Savage #1 from Marvel Comics. I'll try, if I remember, I'll try and put a link to that video right here. So that brings me to one of the finds at Pulp Fest. There were some comics there, not a lot of comics, but there were a few small boxes of comics here and there at different booths. So in that video that I did recently on Doc Savage #1, that's all I had. For some reason, I had Doc Savage #1 in my collection. And so it just so happens that at Pulp Fest, there was a few different vendors that had some of these old Doc Savages from Marvel. So I ended up getting #2 for $5, and it's in really great shape. #3 I got for $2, again, in really good shape. #4 I got for $2, really good shape. #5 I got for $2, really good shape. #6 I got for $2, and it's in really good shape. And then there's only 8 issues. This series only lasted 8 issues, and I was a little upset because I at that one place there was just I found 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but then I got looking around at a different vendor, and he had some comics as well, and he had issue number 7. Now he wanted $20 for it, but I got this from him and a few of these books over here, these paperbacks I'll show in a minute. But I think he took a few dollars off from the total, so I didn't pay completely $20 for this, but it's in great shape, so I'm not too sad about paying a premium for that. So I just need one issue of Doc Savage now. Here's the giant size, basically an annual issue. I got that for $2 as well, and that's in nice condition. So I got almost all the Doc Savages now, which is great because anybody who watched that Doc Savage video, my last video, you heard me say I was really impressed with that first issue. Ross Andrew does the artwork on this series. Roy Thomas writes it, and I was thinking, well, I said I'd like to get this whole thing, and lo and behold, I go to Pulpfest a few days later, and there's almost the whole thing, and pretty reasonably priced. So I picked up all those Doc Savages. I also got 2 issues of PC Comics Twisted Tales that I needed. Now this is number 7, $8, and number 9, also $8. And these are the last 2 issues I needed. Now I have a full run of PC Comics Twisted Tales. These are kind of like the old EC Comics horror anthology series, I believe. So that was cool. I got to finish off my run of Twisted Tales. I found 2 issues of Flash. I think this is volume 2. I'm trying to collect the Mark Waid run, and I found 2 issues that I was missing from the Mark Waid run, 75 and 78. I'm still missing, I don't know, maybe a dozen issues from this run. I have quite a pile of Flash comics though by Mark Waid, so I'm slowly chipping away at my Mark Waid Flash run. And also, let's see what else we got here before I got the final issue of Captain Canuck that I was missing to complete my collection of the original run of Captain Canuck. This is number 10. This was the only one I was missing. So now I have an entire run of the original Captain Canuck series. And that was in nice shape too. Then I got these 2 issues of John Sable Freelance from First Comics. This is a Mike Grell title from the 80s. I got issues 10 and 8. I was missing both of them. Once I think I find number like 11, maybe 9, I forget. Once I find one more issue, it's right around here someplace, I'll have like at least the first 20 in a row, I think, of this series. Then I'm missing a few here and there. But I recently picked up a bunch of trade paperbacks of John Sable, so I don't know if I'll keep the individual comics and just switch to the trades. I don't know. We'll see. And the same vendor that had all of those Doc Savages, he had a bunch of like Robert E. Howard comics in there as well. This is Marvel Premiere, The Mark of Cain. This is Solomon Kane, Robert E. Howard character, issue 33 of Marvel Premiere. Marvel Supernatural Thrillers, Valley of the Worm, adapted from The Chiller by Robert E. Howard. Looks like some great Gil Kane artwork here on the cover. Monsters on the Prowl. Now this is King Kull. I think King Kull debuted in this title, Monsters on the Prowl. It was like a backup story maybe. I think this is an anthology series. I'm not real sure. So this is number 16, and it says backed by popular demand. So I'm guessing he was in a few issues prior to this. I'll have to do some research and see if I can track some of them down. I'd like to have all those. And then I got a bunch of this first series of Call the Conqueror. And these were all in really good shape, and most of these were $2 a piece too. I was like, yep, I'll take them for $2 each. So I got number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 7, number 9. These are in wonderful condition. Number 12. I might have this one. This cover looks familiar. I may have this one already, but if I do have it already, I'll bet you this copy is in better condition than the copy I have. Number 13. What an awesome cover. These covers are great. Number 14. Number 15. Giant size Conan the Barbarian. Number 2. This is an annual. And number 4. There was a number 3 there too, and I thought I grabbed it, but I believe it wasn't in very good condition, so I think that's why I didn't grab it. But these were both $5, but still, for the condition they're in, $5 is quite a deal. So that was all the comics that I found there at Pulpfest. Oh, let me show you my lanyard. Everybody gets a lanyard with your name printed on it. Here's the schedule of everything that was going on. Wednesday, that was like an early, or that, so Wednesday was a setup day. And then there was some kind of program that evening. And then Thursday was set up an early bird shopping. You had to pay an extra $30 to go in there on Thursday and do the early bird shopping. Then Friday was the day that it started proper to the general public. That's the day I went. And then Saturday, there was more stuff. And then today, Sunday, from 9 to 1, just the dealer's floor was probably open. I guess they start packing up kind of early on Sunday because it slows down. But I was talking to a couple of the vendors there, and they were saying how this year seemed like it was a big year for Pulpfest compared to previous years as far as attendance goes, which makes sense because a lot of the YouTubers that I follow, the booktubers, they of course are all into the old pulps, and like all of a sudden it seemed like a week or two leading up to Pulpfest, like all of a sudden all these YouTubers that I follow were talking about they were heading to Pulpfest, and sure enough, I saw a bunch of them there. I didn't mingle with them or anything, but a bunch of them were there, and they all got together. They all knew each other from YouTube, and they were all hanging out together, and they did, they were doing their YouTube thing and putting out videos from there and getting together and doing videos with all of them together. So that was kind of cool to see some of the people I listen to here on YouTube there at Pulpfest. That was kind of neat. Everyone got this magazine, the Pulpster. This is issue 35. And I haven't gotten a chance to look through this yet. And I saw that there were some older issues. Some of the dealers were selling some of the older issues of this. And I don't know if this gets published every year. I'm not sure. I have to look into it. But I haven't really looked through this yet. What's this? Future Tales from Yesteryear. Maybe this has some stories in it or something. But yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to look through this yet. But I'll take this to work with me tonight. Hopefully it's a slow night at work and I can read some of this. So everybody got a copy of the Pulpster. Okay, so I've shown you my books, or my comics. Now let me show you the books I got. Now, my family and I arrived Thursday afternoon down there, and the first thing we did was we went to a Goodwill, because that's what me and my wife and my daughter love to do, is go to Goodwills. And I found two things while I was there in Goodwill were Eagles Dare by Alistair MacLean on cassette. I thought that was pretty cool. $1.55. And I also got an Alistair MacLean paperback, Sea Witch. I did not have this. have quite a few Alistair MacLean novels, paperbacks. I did not have this one, so that was really cool to find this there. So yeah, that was the first thing we did, was we went to Goodwill. Then the next morning, I went to Pulpfest, and I showed you the comics I got, and I'll show you the books I got. The first purchase of the day were 3 of these Indiana Jones prequel novels: Indiana Jones and the Interior World, Indiana Jones and the Dinosaur Egg, and Indiana Jones and the Dance of the Giants. This one I already had a copy of, but my copy is a little rough, so I picked this up. I think they wanted $5 a piece for these, which was pretty reasonable. You look for these online, people want a pretty penny for them, and these are in fantastic condition. The dealer that had them thanked me for buying them, because he's like, if somebody didn't buy them, I was going to have to try and put together a complete run of them. So I said, no problem, I'll help you out. I'm trying to put together a full run of them. So I believe I have 10 of these now, and there's 13 total. So I just have 3 more. I got to find 3 more of these, and I'll have all of the Indiana Jones prequel novels. Then I went to this dealer who, this stack of books came out of his boxes, and they were $2 a piece, or 3 for $5. And I got 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait, that's not that one. This one isn't from him. Let's see. Let's get this in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I thought I got 9. Yeah, I did. Here it is. So I got 9. So $15 for this stack of books. And here's what I got: this Flash Gordon by Al Williamson. So these are the comics. I believe I have another one of these Flash Gordons already in my collection, so this will go with that. That's pretty nice. Here's the book that I wanted to read for Rocket Summer, and I thought I owned it, and I didn't. I didn't have it. So I read Rogue Ship instead, and if I remember, I'll put a link up here to that video. I did a video on that not too long ago. But this is the one that I wanted to read, but I didn't own it. I thought I did, because this is the book that I read in an interview, or I don't think it was an interview. Maybe it was. Philip K. Dick is one of my favorite sci-fi writers. And in this interview, or whatever it was either he mentioned it, or somebody who knew this about Philip K. Dick mentioned it, that Philip K. Dick was an A.E. Van Vogt enthusiast, and he specifically liked this novel. So this one, I might read this book next. So I got that. Then I got a bunch of these Ace Science Fiction Classics, Edgar Rice Burroughs. I have a small collection of these started. So I went through and found a few of these that were in decent condition, and I'm going to add these to the collection that I already have going on. I probably have, I don't know, 20 of these now once I add these in. These are cool books. These are and they're in decent shape. They've been read. They're old. I don't know how old these are. Are these from the 1950s? There's somebody's ownership sticker in there. I don't know if it'll tell you in here what years these were printed. 1963? It's like 1963. So these are pretty old. These are 11 years older than this old nerd sitting here talking to you. But they're in pretty decent shape, just like this old nerd sitting here talking to you. But, yep, these will all fit in nicely with the collection already. Here's number 6 of Tarzan. I think I have numbers 3, 4, and 5. So number 6, this was in nice shape. Throw that in there. So that was all from that vendor. Then another vendor had this, Harry Harrison's Bill the Galactic Hero. This is volume 3. So I think I have all these now. I think this was the only one I was missing. I wanted $12 for it, and it's not, like, the spine's got a pretty good, like, crease down through it. It's not terrible. But now I have all of these. The old guy that was the vendor that had this book. I got like the Flash comics that I showed you earlier. I got from him. I think I got the John Sable comics from him. Forget now, but he had this book as well. And I was looking at this, trying to see what number this was. I totally didn't see the volume 3 right there. It is kind of hard to see in my defense. But I was trying to look here, and this crease from the bag, from the Mylar bag, was kind of blocking it. So I opened it up so I could look, and the old guy was like, "Hey, you gotta ask before you open those up." I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Can I open this up?" "Yeah, go ahead." Grouchy old people. And I picked up this Doc Savage omnibus. It has this is volume 1. It's $20. There was other ones there that were in better condition than this for $30, but I didn't see where this was that bad of shape compared to the other ones. But I'm curious to read the novels of Doc Savage now that I've been reading the comics. The next thing I got to do is get a run of the Doc Savage magazine that Marvel put out back then in the early 70s as well. But before I do that, there were some of those at Pulpfest, but they didn't have a complete run, and they were all individually priced, and they were priced pretty high. So I stayed away from that this time. Maybe next time, but if I'll keep my eye on eBay for the magazines. Maybe I can find somebody selling the whole set for a nice price. But this is the first omnibus put out by Bantam. I don't know when these would have come out. Probably in the late 70s or early 80s, I would assume. Kind of looks like. So, but I picked this one up. There's a lot of these omnibuses. Like, it goes all the way up to volume 20. I don't know, but like the author, what's his name? Kenneth Robeson. He's the Doc Savage author who was writing them back in the day. I think there's like 100. He wrote 120 novels, something like that. Doc Savage novels. So they're all those novels. The novels are fairly short. So you see, there's 4 of them in here. So he wrote a ton, and these omnibuses collect them. And I thought this would be a good way to read the first couple of them anyway. Then from another dealer, he had a bunch of boxes down on the floor full of paperbacks. So, and they were $2 a piece unless they had like a color sticker on them. And so I picked a few out. Some that were in nice shape that I like the cover of. El Sprague de Camp, The Clocks of Araz, Volume 2 of The Reluctant King. I don't believe I have Volume 1, but I will keep my eye open for it. But these are some of my favorite types of paperbacks, these Del Reys. And great cover art. Book doesn't look like it's been read, or if it was read very gently. Alan Dean Foster, Orphan Star. I have this book already, a different printing of it in paperback, and mine's not in very good condition. So this will be replacing that copy in my collection. I have a couple Lloyd Arthur Eschbach books, and I just picked up these 2. So this one is The Sorceress of Scath. First time in print, so this is the first print. Another Del Rey. The Armlet of the Gods. First time in print again. Another Del Rey. This one's a little rougher condition-wise, but not bad. Not bad at all. Lawrence Watt Evans, The Cyborg and the Sorcerers. It's just a cool-looking book. Again, a Del Rey. First time in print. A little bit rougher, but not bad. John Brunner, The Tides of Time. Another Del Rey. First time in print. Again, does not look like it's been read, or if it was read very gently. And I also got these 3 books. Brian Lumley, Necroscope 2, Vampiri. I love these horror books. I was just watching a video last night from another booktuber who was talking about these Brian Lumleys. He had a book haul, and he'd gotten some Necroscope books. So I commented that I had just picked one up at Pulpfest. And I love these. These horror books from the 80s are so cool. So anytime I find one in decent shape for a good price, I pick it up. I don't really know anything about these books other than I love the look of them. And then I got, so these orange stickers I think were $5. But I'm trying to put together a collection of these Robotech novels from the 80s. And these are numbers 7 and 8. And I have, I don't know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 maybe? Something like that. So these are going to go into the collection. Trying to put together a run of these Robotechers. I have yet to watch this series. I have a Blu-ray of the first 2 seasons, or first 2, whatever you call them in anime language. I have not watched them yet, but I hope to watch it soon. And once I watch it, then maybe I'll try and tackle some of these novelizations and see how they are. Okay, so that's it for the old books to go in my collection. Now we'll take a look at the self-published, the authors that were there selling their own books. I found, what did I get here? That's 1 author, 2 authors, 3 authors. So these are from 4 different authors that were set up there selling their books. And I'll go through them with you here. So these ones are by a publishing company, an independent publishing company. And I think they call themselves Veritas, maybe? Yeah. See that focus right there is their logo. It says Veritas. But all the authors were there, and they were all dressed up like pulp heroes, like Indiana Jones, old cowboys. There was like 3 or 4 of the authors there that belonged to this publishing company, and they were all dressed up like pulp heroes, and it was kind of cool. And they were just talking about their books and trying to get people to buy their books. And I really liked what they had to say. I liked their presentation. The books looked and sounded cool, so I grabbed 6 of their books. And what was cool was, and they signed them all for me. Keep Adventuring, Nathaniel Hummel. These guys have a podcast here on YouTube, and if I can put a link to it somehow in here, I will, or maybe I'll put it down in the description or in the comments or something, so you can check them out if you're interested. But these guys are pretty cool. These are just adventure stories, that characters that these guys came up with themselves. Characters that they came up with themselves. This is the way this author, Nathaniel Hummel, he's the one that I spoke to the most. And he was dressed like this in this tuxedo, kind of like James Bond. And he's the one I talked to about all these books. That these are the same character right here. Crime is my caper and Treasure is my trade. These are his 2 books. But one of the reasons that I got so many of their books is because these have the same kind of gimmick as a comic book might. They've got, not only do they have a main story in them, but at the end of each of these, there is this short serialized story called The Adventures of Dr. Veritas. And he was telling me that this story is about modern day publishing and how men's adventure fiction is ignored and doesn't really get published anymore. And that's what The Adventures of Dr. Veritas is about, that somehow. This character is trying to get men's adventure fiction published, I guess. So there's this little backup story. It's only a couple pages long, but it's serialized. In each one of these books, the very end, there's part 2 in this book. And then this one I got because this one has part 3 of the backup story, but the author was saying that this book is the second in this series. And this one you got to read to know the character, I guess. And then in this one has the backup story in the end of it, part 3. So okay, I'll take them both so I'll read them in order. And I think does this one have? backup story in it? No, this one doesn't. I think this is his most recent book, Nathaniel's most recent book. But this is the book that establishes this character. Nate Colt is his name. This is a Nate Colt adventure. But this one is the second Nate Colt adventure. But this book has The Adventures of Dr. Veritas Part 4 in the end. And there was a few more books there. I think they have Dr. Veritas goes all the way up to chapter 7 or 8 in some of their other books. But I figured by picking up 6 of their novels, that's a good start, right? So Veritas Publishing, Veritas Press, I'm not sure. But these guys are cool. I recommend checking them out. This one, Saloons, Jungles, and City Streets, a thrilling collection of classic adventure from the Victorian era for your entertainment, from the pen of Mr. Alan J. Porter. Here's some Lemon Hog Publishing is the name of his publishing company, I guess. A family-owned imprint dedicated to providing an outlet for new voices. And this is Alan J. Porter. He's the writer. I write about stuff and make up stories too. AlanPorter.com. But this was a husband and wife team. Alan was there. His wife was there. They each were authors. Alan has written some. He wrote a book on the Beatles. He wrote some Alan Quatermain, New Adventures of Alan Quatermain books. He had quite a variety of books, but this one is a collection of short stories. And the reason that I picked this one up is because he said there are two Sherlock Holmes stories in here. So we got, enjoy this collection of 7 Victorian era adventures featuring Wild Bill Hickok. That's right, he'd written a few novels on Wild Bill Hickok, Alan Quatermain, and Sherlock Holmes. And I was like, that's cool. I'll do that because I like Sherlock Holmes. So I figured I'd give this guy a try. He was really cool. Him and his wife were originally from England, but they've lived here for 30 years, and their accents are still pretty thick. But they said that they were adults when they moved to the United States, so their accent has pretty much remained. But they said that their kids don't really have an accent. I thought that was kind of funny. This book, A Cry in the Moon's Light. It's kind of I guess it's a retelling of the Snow White story. It's fantasy, horror fantasy, werewolves, a monster hunter fighter, I guess this character is. But this author was there. He signed it, Alan McGill. He had a bunch of different books, but these books right here are other books in this series. So he's got 4 books in this series. He had some other books series as well that he'd written, and he was telling me about all of them. Like Bumper City is like a sci-fi noir series. Emporium, that was an old school Hammer horror film. Cabinet of Curiosities, old antique store. I guess Emporium is just like a collection of short stories where this Emporium just magically shows up and people come in and adventure happens. So all of his books sounded cool, but I figured I'd give this one a try. You never know what you're going to get when you go to these conventions, and there's always self-published authors there, and you never know what you're going to get. I've gotten some books and read them, and they've been god awful. So you never know, but I'm willing to give some of these guys a try. And last but not least, this one is by, is it Craig McDonald? What is this? Yeah, Craig McDonald is this guy's name. I got 3 books from him. And it's funny because another booktuber here on YouTube, I was listening to a video of his several months ago, and he was talking about these books. And I pulled up the website, and I had it open on my phone for a long time. And I was looking at these books on the website. I was thinking, man, those look cool. I'd like to give them a try, but I never did. And then when I was at Pulpfest Friday, I walked by the guy's table and I saw the books. I was like, man, those look familiar. I got looking at them. I was like, that I heard about you. I told him that I'd been listening to a YouTuber talk about him, and I got pointed to his website through the YouTuber, and just it was cool that he was there at Pulpfest. So I picked up this. He's written about 10 of these. A Hector Lasseter novel, who's basically I think he's like a crime reporter, but he keeps getting caught up in these real life crimes from the 1930s, 1940s. And this is one of the first books in that series. William Holden is on every cover, and I can't think of who this actress is, but all the covers have William Holden and then like a famous actress from back then on the cover as well. There was one with Veronica Lake that I wanted to get because I really like Veronica Lake, but the author recommended getting this book to start, so I went with this one. Here's some of his tchotchkes. These are all from this series. Craig McDonald Books. This was the website that I'd gone to, craigmcdonaldbooks.com. There's all the books that he's written. But there's this series, like I said, there's about 10 of them. And he of course signed it for me. They all signed the books for me. This series he describes as a female Doc Savage, and this is a hardcover. That's pretty cool. So I picked up the first of this series. They just look cool. I'm excited to give this a try because all the books in that series look cool. Like I just showed you on those two cards. So this is another book in that series, The Night Shepherd. It's like crazy occult H.P. Lovecraft female Doc Savage stories, The Death Killers, and he has them all in hardcover and paperback as well. But I like the hardcovers. This, of course, is the one that we were just looking at. Mothman Menace. Don't these books look exciting? They just look cool. Guy really knows what he's doing, I think. And this is a graphic novel, and this one is based on a book from this series. So this is a Hector Lasseter graphic novel. Pretty decent artwork in here. Got the noir look going on. Really cool. I'm excited to read this one too. Very pulp noir looking stuff. This is a nice soft cover graphic novel. And let me just end by showing you the couple of things that I got for my birthday. My daughter got me this microwave corn on the cob popcorn. Has anybody seen this before? It looks like a corn on the cob here. It looks like an ear of corn, and there's a bag in here, and you put the ear of corn in the bag and put it in the microwave for 2 minutes, and it pops popcorn and buttery garlic, two of my favorite flavors. Well, my daughter got me this, and my wife got me a candle for my library, book loft. Smells pretty good. So the next time I'm hanging out late at night in my library, I'll fire this up. Hopefully don't burn all my books down. And was there anything else? No, I guess not. So that's my Pulpfest birthday haul. Got all kinds of good stuff. Anybody see anything in there you liked? I had a good birthday. I had a really good birthday. Well, I shouldn't say I had a good birthday. I spent an hour outside in the rain digging around my garage because water was coming in on the garage floor because the rain was coming down so hard and it was coming under the wall. I was out there changing the oil in my car after our trip to Pittsburgh. So Yeah, a little manual labor, a little dirty on my birthday, but otherwise, I think we're gonna go. Now I think we're gonna go grocery shopping and maybe go out and get some dinner or something. My wife made me eggs and toast and sausage for breakfast, so that was really nice. And yeah, I've had a pretty good birthday so far. I've got to go to work tonight, but not until midnight, so that's fine. But uh, otherwise, I've had a really good birthday so far. So thanks anybody who's watched this for joining me on my birthday. Uh, hope you were excited about Pulpfest. It certainly is a cool function, a cool organization, a cool uh, uh, what do you call them, convention, I guess. I would recommend it if anybody's into this kind of stuff. So please let me know down below if you've been or you want to go, or if you recognize anything in this video, thought anything in this video was cool. Please subscribe, share this video with any other old nerds out there like us that like this kind of thing, Bronze Age comic books and old paperbacks and stuff. And yeah, I appreciate you watching. Stick around for more. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.